On your phone, your skin looks a little orangey.
Yeah.
That's better. Hungry Black Man here. Good morning.
Good morning, Jill Tracy here. Very odd vantage point.
Yeah, I don't know. Something happened to Jill's sound this morning.
Yeah, I don't. I can't. I'm gonna play with it and see. I'm gonna reboot the whole thing, but I mean, nothing's really. Well, yeah, I did do. Anyway, how y'all doing? Good morning.
So, this weekend was very interesting for me. We had an opportunity. We hired a cleaning company to come clean the house, and very nice ladies, very nice. However, I was expecting a little more for the price. I was expecting a little more, but it's good to try people out and give them an opportunity. And if I ever need that service again, I would probably call them, but just direct them more into sort of what I would need done.
But
But
they're a
I'll
cleaning service.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm gonna try another one. You
Like,
know,
I'm like, there is a limit to what I'm gonna hire you, pay you top dollar, and not get it done. Yeah, I'm not about to call you back. I might
so
call and explain why I will never call you back, but
so I put today's topic today is that it's literally that we need to have a conversation about Black women because after this weekend again, we had a very interesting sort of walk for Alana Washington,
oh
the small, uh, the 7-year-old girl that lost her life, and I'm not in the process, Joe, of comparing atrocities. I'm not in the process of minimizing anyone else, but I am tired of the narrative of Black women suffering going unnoticed by everyone, including Black men. And I make the comparisons, and I should, I am not making this comparison to be insensitive, but we had a young child by the name of King Carter who was shot and killed in Miami.
yeah.
And when he was shot and killed in Miami, it's the same travesty, same falling on deaf ears. However, there was more hoopla around his death, and it should have been.
Outrage.
It was, yeah, it was total outrage. And so this is a Black boy, and it stayed in the media cycle for a very long time. And every network, the only network that was following Alana was NBC6, and
Yeah,
that was because the reporter was a Black woman. And,
yeah.
and then she made it her personal, no, I'm not gonna say personal, but she made it her professional task to report on that story.
Mhm.
And I just only saw her, and I look at Breonna Taylor and how Oprah had to put Breonna Taylor's face on her magazine to highlight it. And that was huge for Oprah because
Huge.
Oprah's a narcissist.
Never been.
So
Always. She's never had anybody on her cover
you
before.
know so now I'm looking at this, and I read this article that I'm going to post for you guys that's so depressing, but it needs to be discussed. And it's called How Systemic Racism Affects Black Women's Health from the Cradle to the Grave. And I'm going to post it here. I'm going to post it in the chat for you, so that you can read it at your leisure. But
Mhm.
I am tired of the narrative that Black women are so strong that they don't have to be protected. Black women are so strong. You got Black sons literally sucking off their mom's tit well into their fucking 40s and 30s, and you got Black men. It's too much at this point. When Black girls are little girls, they're not treated like little girls. If they have brothers, they roughhouse them. They make them cry. They do things. But these white women, they're treated like little lilies. I was at a Indian restaurant doing a review on South Beach, and I just saw these little white girls, and they were just so happy. They were just
Mm.
blonde, blue eyed. No, for real. Just
No,
and
yeah.
I started laughing because I was just like, I have never seen in real life a group of children holding hands and skipping. These two little these two little white girls held hands. They got out of their parents' car, they held hands, and they started skipping happily down the street. It was just like, right. I mean, it was like a scene from a movie. And so, this Alana Washington, it highlighted to me the fact that, like, Jesus Christ, like, I can't get these folks to fuck. We had the march. We had the march, Jill, and I'm going to play the clip from the march that we did just so folks can see that, who came out. And it was a beautiful showing of solidarity, but we really wanted to focus on change. So I'm going to share that real quick, if that's okay, just so people can see, how the march went. And, I'm still at the, those of you who are out of the state or out of the South Florida area, I really want this. Someone said that's because our family demanded justice. I'm King Carter's aunt. The difference is that the justice for this young lady should not fall on the onus of the family. And King Carter's justice shouldn't have fell on the onus of your family. And so what I'm saying is that it's not, her family's demanded justice the same way. The difference is that they like the narrative of King Carter's father being a rapper, so they wanted to keep showing him in the news. They like the narrative around that young Black child losing his life. And when and the cool thing about how Tawana, let me bring you on. I'm going to bring you on. I'm going to send you a link in your box. So all you do, if you're able to come on, just go ahead and click that link. And then, let me send that to you right now. But yeah, it's definitely. Oh, well, what are you talking to me? She said, well, that's not going to happen. Are you are you at work? Or?
She's like, yeah, no, I'm not about to come on camera.
She goes, I'm not dressed. Okay. Back to, so someone said, give you 10 minutes. Okay, perfect. So when you come back, we'll include you on.
Put you on. Right.
So, and she's right. King Carter's family definitely was so outraged, and they were so effective at making sure that the community understood the severity of the situation. However, our society definitely embraced that quest a lot more than they're doing with Alana. And I didn't know what I had to do to, I just didn't know, Jill. I mean, we did the best that we could. We tried our best to get as many people out as possible. And, folks were getting mad at me because I kept telling them that I'm not an organizer, and I'm not. Let me go back. Let me go to the march. And folks, this was the march, guys. So just so you know, this was the march with Alana Washington family demanding change in that neighborhood. So we're going to just show you little snippets from that. And who was out there. And yeah, here we go. You see something? So I'm gonna forward a little bit. Now this guy here, guys, in that suit, right? That red tie. I'm going to do a post about him today, because if it weren't for James Bush, this would have not happened. No justice. No peace. No peace. No justice. No peace.
We need a new saying.
I think God's gonna stretch it. He's gonna make a way. He always does. And so we're
okay. I look really biblical in this.
This is a very powerful brother that's done a lot of positive.
Let me go to the woman who.
7 years. Justice. Not a place quote. I just want him.
Oh wow, Susan Wilson.
Hello. It's not working. Quick. Hello.
Okay, yeah. I don't want to hear me talk. So, yeah. So this was the march. I'm trying to find was a woman who spoke really well, and there we go. Yeah, I want to show you guys the crowd.
We out here for justice. 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 You say something. Say something. You say something. You say something. You say something. 7 years.
Right. So that march, we had we had Susan Bullets out, who was an incredible activist. We had a number of activists, right? But that was the problem. And so, Jill, we went throughout the community, and it's a bigger issue than just, finding the killer. Because as we walked, Jill, that neighborhood had so many just broken glass, dead animals. These were kids that were around that were playing outside. And so I'm sitting there, and I don't know. And you help me understand, okay? Help me understand how our people, and I put a post up and I said, stop worrying about how other people treat your race, and worry about how you treat your race and how your race treats you.
Amen.
And so we have this thing where we keep demanding that non-Black people treat us in a manner that we don't treat our own people. So when you set the example of this is how we expect to be treated, and this is how we treat our own people, then the other races are going to have no choice but to mirror that behavior.
Right.
And so for me, I'm really, help me understand from your experience being on the radio, being an advocate. Okay, she popped off. I don't know what happened, but that's where I'm asking. And that's why I'm gonna put it out there for you guys. What do we have to do for us to treat our race the way that we're demanding that white people treat us? That's the question of the day for right now. What do we have to do? Oh, here you go again, Jill. Okay, I can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. It's a lot going on. I don't know why I'm out. But anyway, go ahead.
My question is, what has to happen for our people to understand that, or rather, the question is, what do you think needs to happen for Black people to treat other Black people the way that we expect white people to treat us?
Oh, wow.
Because I
have to land in the middle of 79th Street and 7th Avenue and say, people, I'm being facetious.
No, I'm gonna do
but that is a question that perplexes I think all of us, right? That we live in many spaces in the conditions that that are not acceptable, yet we don't do anything to fix it, right? And that is, I don't know if it is just the cycle of being overworked, underpaid, all the way up the line. It doesn't really even matter where you are. The person that, the girl that works part-time at Ross, and the the girl who is the woman who is 1 second away from the C-suite. They're experiencing some of the same exact things on the job, and or in our life spaces where we make money. And I think that there's just not as much energy left for home. And particularly when you're not the blight, like if you're the blight of the community, then 9 times out of 10, at some point, either one of your neighbors is going to check you, or your family, somebody will check you to get you together. But if everybody's like pretty much in the same situation, I think that's it more than a just straight neglect. We don't have like, neighborhood cleanliness groups or societies. We don't have, where we organize the kids together to go plant a garden in, um, the old lady down the street's front yard. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that anymore. And so,
So
and
let's do it.
yeah, I'm all for that. I really believe that, you are what you see, right? And when you start to take pride in how your neighborhood looks, it changes things. It really does. And I think that, yeah, we do better to, figure out a way to organize groups of kids, to help communities look better. Let's just fix the aesthetics first, and figure out some way that we can reward them for doing that work. Like
Jill,
when I was listening yesterday to, it's so much noise out here right now, but
Jill, 1 second. Tawana, I sent you the link. You can just click it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jill.
no, that's okay. I think, that's one of the things we always, because it's so funny you said that, when they were saying no justice, no peace, I was thinking, what does it look like? What does the justice look like? Have we determined
What
that?
does no peace look like? Because there's no peace for who?
Either one, right? Both of them. What do they look like? And I think we kind of have to go back, downstairs in the church basement and figure that out. As I said, Jamal, was Black people are taught that aggression is the way to get respect. It's in the Black family structure. And if, as children, we challenge that, you're popped in the mouth by
The thing is, Jamel, I would embrace that, but I kind of knock against that because I have a very disrespectful nephew and he does not get popped in the mouth. He doesn't get punched. I deal with it. And you know why I deal with it? Because I don't want to share the narrative that the only way you can resolve conflict or the only way that you can get respect is by violence or force, because I can easily just dominate him and like, you won't stop talking. And that's how my father did, right? I would never disrespect my dad. But you know what? You don't learn anything that way. You just know how to behave around that person that's exuding the force. And then what you'll do is take that anger out on people that's not that person, right? So if I started that narrative at, with him at 13 years old, punching him and jacking him up and shaking him, and that's not gonna solve anything. And so it is harder, right? You get the immediate response you want, because they do shut the fuck up. And you're like, stop. Sometimes you gotta lose it. But I don't agree with the fact that I do believe in corporal punishment, but I don't believe that popping people in the mouth. That happened to me, that I got popped in the mouth so many times. It's like you just have no idea. But anyway, we have this queen on. So this is the aunt of King Carter, the young child, the 6-year-old child who was unfortunately shot during a drive-by shooting. And she was also at the march with Alana Washington. And so I just, we wanted to start the conversation today off of who was that? Okay. We wanted to start the conversation off with Black women and how Black women are unfortunately a bit invisible when it comes to their pain. And then we see time and time again with Sandra Bland, with Breonna Taylor, and now with this young queen that there is just a diminishing of the news cycles being in the news. So I know you had some thoughts on that. So I wanted to just bring you on so you can share a little bit about sort of how you feel about that.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show, Star X. Hi, Jill Tracy. I don't know if you remember me, but we got honored a few times together.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, but my laptop's not working. But hey, girl.
Oh, hey. No problem. Okay. So let me say this first. Like, I have been in maybe over 100 marches in Miami-Dade County. marching for justice for everyone. I don't just march for my family, I march for everyone. However, it's the same people at these marches. So it was very refreshing, Star X. You probably thought I was a stalker because I kept inboxing you saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. You did a wonderful job. Because we don't usually we have the same 3 or 4 men that always stands up in the community.
Right.
And it's mostly the women that's walking and trudging and holding up signs and just out there with the kids trying to demand justice. And the women, if you notice, the women are the one that are really carrying all this pain. Like when kids get shot, I'm happy that Alana's dad is there. And my nephew, of course, King Carter's dad was there. But mostly the women are like my son, no, it's our son. You didn't have that child by yourself.
Right.
So we need more men a part of the narrative. And it happens why? Because in younger years, and we have to face it, I'm an educator for the last 17 and a half years. Most of the time, who's there?
Yeah. Women.
It's not lies, it's reality. Yeah. And I'm not going by hearsay. I'm going by what I have seen for the last 17 and a half years. So when I see a dad, I embrace a dad. Yeah. We have different dad events at our school just to bring in dads because dads matter. I remember when Ahmaud Arbery died and I was making a live, man, I broke down because I'm like, I'm in a cycle myself. My child's father's not here. Now my granddaughter's father is not here. Like it just tore my pieces because fathers do matter. I had my father all my life until he passed away. So I know how fathers matter.
Yeah.
So one of the
I agree completely because I didn't have my father and my grandfather, who was like, my father passed when I was 10. So it was 7 generations. I was raised by 7 generations of women.
Wow.
And because there wasn't a male born in my family for 7 generations.
And we think we have to always be so strong.
Right.
I'm like, it's so sad because when somebody's trying to like open a door for you, open a car door for you.
It's the little
salesman
thing, right?
The other day, like, wait, let me do this. I have this. I'm like, he has to tell you to relax because when you're not used to stuff like that, when you want it, but you're not used to it, you don't know how to handle it.
Yep.
I want to just,
and you don't. It's not like an expectation.
Exactly.
Your expectation is that I have to get my own door. I have to do all of this, myself. You're so right about that. And
I want to show this real quick, Tawana. This is guys. This is Tawana in the march, and talking about being a strong Black woman. This is so funny, right? I have to show this. The guys, Tawana is the lady in the black dress to the right, and she is wearing. Look at those shoes. No one's confused. Look at those shoes, Bill. This is what Tawana marched in the entire walk. Those shoes right there.
Yep.
Right. And so James Bush was the only man, right? This is so crazy that we're having this conversation.
That had on a suit and tie.
Right. So she's there marching in those shoes, right? And Jason and Jonathan can come over here and be my witness. It was some Black guys, some pastor, some other Black guy came up and they were just like, oh my God, where are you guys trying to walk? Ooh, that's far. I don't know if we're going to make it there. That's far. I got these shoes. I got to go home. Can y'all wait 15 minutes so I can drive home and change my shoes? And I was like, well,
no.
Even if the walk was shorter, why would you come out here in these shoes? Number one, I see scores of Haitian men running in those church shoes. Like literally running, exercising in those church shoes.
Okay.
And the guy was just like, it was just so like, but anyway, he ended up not walking. And here Tawana is in her heels walking. And so on her birthday, nonetheless. And so my thing is.
Oh, you remember that?
My thing is that I want to have this conversation because Black women, this is when police violence and racism claim the lives of Black people. Black women grieve and take the front lines in the fight for equality. The harmful, strong Black woman stereotype that Black women are resilient and inherently stronger than other women leaves Black women unprotected, exerting energy, fighting the very things putting their own mental health at risk. Black women often become sacrificial lambs to racism. The chronic stress of racism is trying and leaves Black women prone to depression and other mental illnesses. And so when you have that and you compound it with the notion of what Tawana just said, when you see these moms grieving, you know, there be Black men there in a non-sexual way attempting to console them and comfort them. And so the thing is that that's where I look at the Black male pastors, and it's a lot to be imagined from them, because they can easily form a group where that's what they do as men. That they say, you know what? And I asked for the fraternities to come out. You know, we emailed them. I saw one. Yeah, we emailed them. You know, we asked those groups, and I went on a rant the other day, and people were upset about it. But after I get off this live, I'm going on another rant about Black women. And I'm not going to stop ranting. I'm not going to, because if you stop, you know, I want people to feel convicted. You need to feel convicted. You see these Black moms, when we were walking through there, Jill and Tawana, the purpose of the walk for us was that if Alana Washington were alive today, what type of future does she have as a young Black girl?
Exactly.
In that fucking neighborhood. And so now, you know, you have Jill, it was so disgusting. There were all these lots with trash and I was walking and it took a woman to go, "Hey, Starix, move. Look what you're standing on." And I'm standing on a dead crow, a fucking dead crow, just on the ground, dead. And so then as we're walking, I'm looking at, it's dead dog. It's power lines on the ground. It's all these old people, illegal dumping, and our people are living in these conditions. And it's like, I grew
up down the street.
I'm sorry?
I grew up down the street.
Has it always been this way?
No, because we had the people that really cared about where they live. Like, we cared about where we lived at.
Yeah.
And if something was on the ground, we will pick it up.
Exactly.
Like right now today, you can't get me the litter on the ground, because my daddy was the groundsman for over there in that neighborhood. And you still can't get me to throw something out my car window right now today. And that's what I taught my daughter, and that's what my daughter is teaching her daughter. You put garbage in the trash can.
Right. And you know, and our neighborhoods did not look like that. You know, we did.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, my delineator line is crack. After the crack epidemic hit America, the whole shit changed. Everything. Our communities were, and then you know, the sentencing on drug possession. You know, you have like one crack rock and you go into jail for 5 years. That systemically, you know, that took a lot of men out of our communities, and women. We working too hard, just like when we opened. We got a million things to do, and I come home. God knows you don't want to see that yard, but I can't. I don't even have
exactly.
I don't have no more today. You know, and then over time it just builds, and you know, it is going to be, and I don't know how, but I think maybe that is something that we need to deal with, because that's something that we agree.
I agree.
We have to grab this younger generation and instill in them why keeping your community looking like Coral Gables or anywhere else you would want to live, why that's important and why it's your job.
It's very important. And our students, like, I work at Holmes Elementary. I don't know if y'all know that. That's right across from the Porky Bean Projects.
Yeah.
And you should see what they have to encounter walking to school every day.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. If you just ride through that neighborhood, you'll be like, it's no way kids should have to walk by this mess every day, plus run from bullets, because they do shoot in the morning times now. So they don't care. So our kids endure a lot. They have to.
And so
they're forced to.
That's a
We
problem.
didn't.
I put a post up yesterday, and I'm going to read it to you guys because this actually happened. I literally heard little, they were teenage girls, but they were talking about Alana, you know, and that was refreshing in the sense that they were aware, and they were talking about, I think there's another walk being formed, and they were talking about it. And then in the same space, it was these two little white kids talking about SpaceX, you know, and the fact that, you know, these astronauts are getting ready to land. And so it was so interesting how the mind of these little white kids are so free to
right. Are
you know,
so
Which
free
one
to
is
deal
future
with
bound?
something else.
Which one is
Yeah.
future bound mind? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you know, Mackenzie Moore was at the walk. Thank you, Mackenzie. So was Aisha, who's on here as well. And Mackenzie said it was 3 dead crows in the damn park. And those fucking park employees were so fucking lazy. This lady gets up, and her only job, Jill, her only fucking job, and as a former parks director, I was fucking in pain listening to her complain. This was her job. Let me show you what her job was. Women bathroom. Men, over there. She gets up out of her chair, walks Mosley's over. Oh, I need to get up out of here at a certain time because I've been here for 12 hours. I was like, wait. You've been here for 12 hours pointing. I got you so tired. And this child has lost her life. And as a Black woman, you're sitting here talking about how tired you are because you've been working. No, you've been sitting in a chair for 12 fucking hours doing COVID where no one's even on the goddamn park. And so what I wanted to tell her, but I'm not their part, I want to tell you, pick these goddamn crows off the goddamn ground. That's what you do.
I just need to know why the crows are dead.
Who knows, man? You know, who knows? I mean, that's probably why the goddamn hurricane didn't hit us.
I've lived in my neighborhood for 7 years. I've never seen a dead anything.
But Jill, you live in Pembroke fucking Pines.
I know that, but what I'm saying, but how do crows just die? I mean, I would imagine the circle of life shit just dies everywhere. But I mean,
these children see bodies and all down here. They're gonna see it all.
Jill, so my thing is this, right? There will be, right, a radical shift. And I don't give a fuck about the apathetic Black people anymore. I'm so fucking tired of them. I'm tired of people listening to the cries of their own people. And then you want to sit there in your fucking house and then tell white people to hear the cries of all of our people. No, you hear the cries of your own people. Jill, what the hell?
Can you hear me?
Doing?
I'm trying to.
No, Jill, stop fucking with that. No one can hear you. Get off of that and get back on your phone. You need to troubleshoot on your own time, not in the middle of the show. I see. Anyway, let me get her off the screen. I'm getting you off the screen, Joe. You get back on your phone. Jesus. Joe Tracy will be removed. You want to prevent this person from rejoining. You can. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that, Tawana. So anyway, you know, I wanted to get your thoughts on that, right? When you talk about the fact that Black women are at the front lines of this justice fight, Black women at the front lines of working in the domestic sense at home, Black women at the front lines at trying to make a difference on a national stage, from Kamala Harris to, you know, I mean, it's just, you have this constant, it
is too much
cycle of Black women consistently having to be stronger. And then the article that I shared with everyone talks about how in the medical field, they being doctors, specifically non-Black doctors, have this just complete dismissiveness of Black women's pain. There was a woman who was a mother. She's a single mom, and she took Taekwondo. She had some sort of injury, and she said she had fluid building in her knee. She went to the doctor, and she asked the doctor, you know, hey, look, I'm in a lot of pain. The doctor minimized her pain, even slapping her on the knee that was injured, letting her know, like, yeah, you'll be okay, as he slaps her on the knee, sends her home, tells her to elevate it and to take some Excedrin. didn't prescribe pain pills, didn't do anything. So the pain, as she went home, cooked dinner for her child, cleaned the house, helped her kid with her homework. Then she's an accountant, so she had to do her work. Then after that, she goes to work the next day. The pain is too much to bear. She goes back into the same doctor. He finally sends her for tests, finds out she has a torn ACL, all these other injuries, and goes to her.
Oh my gosh.
To her, right? Oh, Sharon, turns out you were right. It's a little more serious than we thought. And so now, guess what? We are so shocked at that. But the Black sons, right? One of the things that I've noticed as in raising my nephews and when I taught them, and it's so important because I took that for granted because I had a dad in my life.
Yes.
When they were small children, they would put so much on their mother. So like she would come home and, you know, has to cook, clean, deal with them, deal with her relationship with her guy, do all the stuff. And then they would come to her and be like, oh, you didn't do this or you didn't do this. And so we were having a conversation at the table once. And one of them was just like, Kevin Durant's mom or whoever, like she did all this stuff. And it was, and she took that. And to this day, that still was in her mind because now she feels inadequate.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I gotta do this. So I saw it in her face. And I told him, don't you ever do that. Don't you ever minimize the impact that your mom is doing here, because what happens is that as a man now, you are putting all this work on a woman. You're putting all the responsibility. At the end of the day, that's the narrative. So when the dad's in the home, you take that away and you're like, no, you get yourself up there and you get that shit done. Don't be going up there, laying up under your mom. Go. And that was my dad. So I learned to be independent. I learned to do things on my own. I learned it. And so that's why I was so independent. And so these boys, it's just this vicious cycle. So now when these single moms have boys, and then the single mom have girls, they are perpetuating the same trauma on their girls. They now are going to tell the girl, do this, be like this. And so now you're trying to build this girl because in your subconscious, I got to make her strong.
Yes.
So I got to show less empathy. I can't baby her like that. But then the son, there you go. Nurturing them.
Yes.
Now that kid dancing all around. I couldn't even dance in my house. My dad was like, men no goddamn dance. I had an old school dad. You can dance. And so now you see the moms and they're filming their sons all jigging and
yes.
So the thing is that like the dynamics is just so different because now when that mom wants to be the disciplinarian, it's very difficult. I was on the phone with a mom now. She has a 14-year-old. And she's like, I don't know what to do. She's like, he's transformed. And like, so my thing is that my live later today is going to be a call for Black men to have a refreshed energy. Those Black men out there carrying those rifles and they went out for Breonna Taylor. That was beautiful.
Yes.
And guess what? Barely made the fucking news cycle. The Black men that saved the woman out of her burning car when it was about to explode. Didn't make the news, right? Because you don't want to show the narrative, and so you'll show.
They don't want to show us in that light.
No. And so the only time you'll see Black women in a softened light is when a little snippet of an NFL indentured servant going and taking his millions and buying his mom a little $300,000 house and being like,
That's
here you go,
That's
mama.
True.
She dragging herself in there, looking beat down and tired and crying. I'm just tired of it.
I was thinking about that the other day because I was like, why is it that Black kids end up on posters only when they're dead? We have amazing Black kids throughout Miami-Dade County, and you don't never see them highlighted. We can't never go and find that anywhere. We can't see them in magazines. We don't see their names in lights. Only like in darkness, like when it's death or something of that nature. I don't like that. Like, we're not setting them up for success enough for me. We're not setting them up.
No,
and
we're not.
We have to. It's our responsibility to set them up for success.
These kids, and so, Aisha put a post up. She goes, also, before you go on a rant about the Greeks, I did reach out to chapters of my sorority, AKA, and was told that they could not officially endorse any marches due to strict orders of social distancing because of COVID-19, which is also why they have not officially participated in Black Lives Matter marches. So I do recommend to reach out first and permission before printing Greek logos on the signs. You know, there is protocol and procedure. So this, as a fellow Greek, with that said, I personally should, right? So Aisha, you did what you were supposed to do. As a Black Greek myself, I feel obligated because of the ideals of my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, and John Lewis was a Sigma, and he embodied what it means to be a Sigma. That's who we are, and that's who we always have been. And I am disappointed in the chapters here. I am disappointed in the Black Greeks here. I think that the rudimentary legalities of whatever they're spewing out is circumstantial and absolutely ridiculous. If someone came in my face and started telling me about the legalities of printing their logos on a sign of a dead Black child, my radical mind is going to literally cuss them out. And I'll get into a physical altercation because I'm like, I'm not having this conversation with you. And just what we shared before, someone said this Epstein generation, white men have been permitted to think of children, Black children, got to do something for everything. A doctor sees no benefit in helping Black girls with their pain. That's awesome. How my dad was as well. He always told me to get my ass up and take care of stuff on my own and stop latching on to mama for everything.
Yes.
I talk about that all the time. The good cop mom and the bad cop dad structure did wonders within the Black household. It's very difficult for the mother to play both roles. It's also not right and fair to her. The Shade Room on IG has 20 million followers. We literally choose what we value.
Hey.
We don't get enough Black students doing great because we as a group don't value this. And so, you know, Lawrence, you have a good point. And I think that we as a group do value it. And we value things in a different manner. And we demonstrate what we value in a very different way. And so I think that rather than coming from a space of saying that Black people don't value things, we don't care, it's different. And so when you go to these neighborhoods, right, remember it's more poor Black people in these neighborhoods than wealthy Black people. And with poverty comes a bunch of other social ills.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to go ahead, Tawana.
That.
Yeah.
Like I have literally got into conversations about poverty because everything is connected to poverty, whether people want to believe it or not. Like your things that you can have, things that you can experience, they're all connected to poverty. Like you could take, like I took my children to Aventura Mall and they act like they were out of town. Like all that attributes to poverty. You can't tell me poverty doesn't play a major role in all of these circumstances that are happening now. That's why we have to find our way out of poverty. I grew up in the projects. I bought my first house when I was 26 years old. So you got to have that mindset of wanting to do better. And that's what we have to put in their minds. They can do better because all they see is their immediate surroundings and everyone mostly everyone around them probably on drugs, no parent in the home. It's the same scenario all the time. My mom and daddy didn't finish high school. It's the same scenarios. And that's what we have to try to change. But that's the hardest thing to change, but we have to do it.
And so I've switched gears. When I was mentoring, I mentored for over a decade, and I became almost like a surrogate parent to many of them because they didn't have dads. And so because I wasn't a social worker and I wasn't trained, when people get into that type of work, they do more than they should because they just are only able to mirror what their parent did for them because that's their reference point. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have any of that because I had good, relatively good parents.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
As a result, I matriculated through life without understanding what a role of a mentor was. And then when I became a mentor, my only reference point were my parents. And so I took away the mentoring in mass because it was taking too much from me because I was giving too much of myself to that role. And so
Yes.
those kids that were the benefactors of that are very successful, and they were kind of saved from that unfortunate reality. And so what I said to myself was, rather than taking them out of the community and showing them other things, we have to change the community so that the positive influences are down the street from them. You know, and so how do we do that in a way? When I walk throughout that community, I'm going to spend about $1,000 of my own money on printing, and I'm going to coordinate all these signs, and it's going to be, love Black people, love yourself, and no more Black Lives Matter. I hate that shit. I hate the way it sounds. And so, no, I do. It
does sound like an attack. It does sound like an attack, but I understand it. But it sounds like Black. Yeah, I got you on that.
I like the movement, but I don't like the because it sounds it's like the minimum requirement. Like, I don't want to be minimized. It sounds like we're minimizing our people when we're like, wait a second, we matter too. Like, who are you saying that to?
Okay.
You're telling white people you're telling non-Black people that your life matters, but your life will only matter when you say your life matter to your damn self. And so my thing is that I don't like when people conflate the two, right? I don't do that shit. Those are two different initiatives, which is why I don't want to hear Black Lives Matter at my walks, right? That I organize, because that's not the messaging. The messaging is we love ourselves. The messaging is we now have to deliver ourselves. No one is coming to deliver us. No one can care about you more than you care about yourself.
Exactly.
You know? All right. Nicole said, I was raised to believe mistakes and failure is an opportunity to do it again and get it right. You are responsible for what you say and do. And how we behave is a direct reflection of my parents. I was raised with a fear of showing my people in a bad light. I still have that respect. Today, that is not valued. Lauren said, Black lives should have always mattered.
Exactly. Yep.
The Shade Room is a terrorist organization. I hate that page so much. I mean, it can be, you know, whatever happened to World Star? After that guy died, it just died with him.
World Star.
Like World Star.
Somebody died.
Well, the guy who created it died.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna go to this story about a Black woman who has an interesting name, and she kept her name, and she graduated with a PhD. Her name is, sorry about that, wrong screen. Like, this is her real name.
Marijuana.
Yes. I couldn't believe that, and I thought it was interesting that she kept her name. Like, she was like, I'm not changing my name. Her name is Dr. Marijuana Pepsi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like we're gonna.
So what's the story? Oh, you're gonna play the story behind her name?
Being mocked and teased for an unusual name, has now used that experience to earn a PhD. Marijuana Pepsi Van Dyke has become Dr. Marijuana Pepsi Van Dyke. The title of her dissertation, Black Names in White Classrooms, Teacher Behaviors and Student Perceptions. Dr. Van Dyke sees her name as something to be proud of and not just an obstacle to overcome. Marijuana Pepsi Van Dyke, welcome to All Things Considered.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you have two sisters named Kimberly and Robin. So how did you end up with this more unusual
With marijuana.
It's a great question, one I've asked several times. My mom just shared that she felt a kinship with me, and she felt like this name would take me around the world.
Have you always been proud of your name, or was that a journey for you?
It was a journey. When I was very young, up till about 9 years of age, marijuana was just a beautiful name. I received accolades. Oh, your name is so pretty. But then I moved to a new city, and all of a sudden, I was made very aware that Marijuana Pepsi was actually very unusual. And so I just had to accept it and go forth with it.
I understand teachers insisted on calling you Mary, even though that wasn't the nickname you preferred.
I would say that they insisted. I have had some amazing teachers and educators over the years, and I think they wanted to make me feel more comfortable. They could see what was happening and see what the other children were doing, and they were trying to smooth the way and make things easier for me.
Do you think it shaped your character dealing with that kind of pushback?
Oh, most definitely. Growing up with a name like that, I'm an introvert and I don't like a great deal of attention. I was lonely, isolated. I just wanted to be anywhere but somewhere, meeting someone new and hearing all the questions.
When you were a student, did both Black and white teachers react strongly to your name, or was it only white teachers?
At the time, it was only white teachers, and I believe it's because in the Black community, we're used to having names that are more cultural. I'll put it this way. One of my research participants said it. White people like things standardized, and that includes names. We are all human. We all hear things that make us look twice, but it's what you do after you recognize that you have this feeling about it. And it's what you act on from that point on. That's the most important part.
So what's your advice to a teacher who might be listening for when they have a kid in their class who has an unusual name and that teacher might have an implicit negative reaction?
Well, my advice is simply acceptance. I don't want to come off as saying that teachers are doing something wrong. I understand the name marijuana is unusual. It's not every day you get that. And then you have a student in class called Marijuana Pepsi or maybe Drushika. And if you're curious about it, feel free to ask, perhaps not in front of the other 25 students. Don't ask, name them in a condescending manner and say, I never would have named my child that. What kind of parents do you have? It's those types of things.
Well, Dr. Van Dyke, thank you for speaking with us today and congratulations on your PhD.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it was an incredible interview.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And it's reality, though. It's reality. The names that we see is reality.
no, I think what she was saying, Anessa, I think she was saying culture in the sense that Black people are super creative in our names. Like I knew a girl named Shanquan Tessonette. What, you know, and that was her name. Her name was Shanquan Tessonette, and she, you know, I knew there was a girl on a show. Her name was so long, it reminded me of a Hindi name, and she was on, I want to say, like a talk show, and she had to say her name, and it was like this, you know, crazy long name. My name is Star X. I mean, like black people, we name our children there. So Nessa, that's what she means by cultural. It's no different from what I just said. And naming your child marijuana, you know, I knew Alizé. I knew kids that I went to in the 90s when I was in school. Most of the kids were named after liquors. I knew I knew what was the other? It was like it's just who we are, you know? And I think that's funny. I think it is cultural, very cultural. And yeah, most of the time white people really like my name actually. And I wouldn't be surprised that if
their parents were hippies.
Yeah, they love my name. My dad was a hippie.
Well, you know, that's
and but someone said I knew a girl named Cherry Vanilla Anderson my freshman year, but no one bullied her. Granted, everyone's experience is different. I'll let up on her.
Cherry Vanilla.
So with that said, Joe, what do you think some solutions are to minimize the impact that we have on Black women's psyche? Okay, what's this, you guys? Isaiah Spice, what are you posting? Because I can't like I can't go to that for some reason. Like I can't. This does not allow us to. You would have to inbox me in my on my page on Star X Smith. Anyone that wants me to post something or play something, you would have to send that to Star X Smith on Facebook because I can't get in there.
And you don't know what it is. You just pop it up. That part.
True.
So what was the question again?
A minute.
Here you go. Hold on. I'm gonna send this.
Get on here.
Let's get you this for this
Because I
woman.
think, what I got to say right now.
Oh, so Mackenzie Moore said he works with someone named Vanilla.
And it's a serious issue. It's a hurting situation to me. And it's a serious issue. That's what's going on in the world.
Oh, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. Black lives matter movement going on right now. Right? And then you have the people that's in law enforcement that says blue lives matter, and their wives or their families that says blue lives matter. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell y'all what happened to me this morning on the way to work in this uniform. This is a federal uniform. So I'm driving down 65 North, traveling to Huntsville. And I see Blount County, I know where they sit every day. I see the officer with the radar gun. My front two windows are down. Each morning to work, I listen to my inspirational music on Pandora because it's a dangerous road. I travel 1,000 miles a week.
Wow.
Windows are down.
Okay.
Just in my spiritual mood. I see him with the gun, radar gun. I knew that I was going to get stopped. Wasn't speaking. Wasn't doing anything. I knew I was going to get stopped because I'm used to being stopped. Because of my vehicle and because I'm black. Now, this is someone that's been in law enforcement for 15 years. So, I go ahead and get over in the center lane because I know I'm going to be the one that, I see him come out, I know I'm going to be the one that stopped. See him, get behind me, he turns on his lights, and I call, I make a phone.
Damn, did I lose everything now? The fuck?
Takes my uniform, but I asked them immediately, and you all have the right to know why you are being stopped. Because when I was trained back in 2005 as an officer, deputy, a law enforcement officer, approach your window, they are supposed to give their name. I am officer such and such, I am deputy such and such, and the reason that I stopped you today. Well, he come up to my window real aggressive like, and I asked him, I said, why did you pull me over? I have that right to know. Because I know that I wasn't speaking. I know that I wasn't swerving, I wasn't doing anything. And I know that he was running radar. So if you're running radar and you're stopping me, you're insinuating that I was speeding. But anyway. So he tells me, well, you were following too close. I said, following too close. And you had your phone. You were on your phone. I said, I wasn't on my phone. I said, I was listening to my gospel music. So then he says, oh, hey, yeah, she works for Customs. And then he turns on his mic. He said, oh, yeah, because I can feel a complaint coming. So now, me working for Customs had nothing to do with the stop. That was just him being intimidated by my position. Okay? It was him being intimidated, young white officer. So then, he's kind of mild at me, and me being who I am. And those of you that know who I am and how I am, you're not going to disrespect me. Period. I told him, either you're going to write me a ticket or you're not. And he told me, I sure am.
Okay. Fine. The other officer comes to the window. Do you have driver's license? Well, what kind of question is that? I mean, I am sitting here in a federal uniform that I assume that I have a license, right? I handed my license. And then he says, well, I need a registration. Now, for those that do not know, when you register your tag, you have to have insurance, right, in this state. And it is legal because the system's a lot better when I was a deputy in Jefferson County, okay? They can see your insurance. Well, I said, sir, y'all can pull that up, right? No, not out of state. Well, my tag is Alabama. Okay. I'm looking for my registration as I show him my proof of insurance first on my phone. And then he asks for registration now, y'all. He's taking me down through that now. He's every little thing he can do. Let me see your registration. Now you know you can run the tag, y'all, and see that my tag is valid and it is current. But anyway, he wants to see my registration. So I dig through my glove box. I'm trying to find it, and he's standing. The other officer is standing, kind of tuned in. You think you above the law? I said, excuse me. How do you think I'm above the law? How do you think that I'm above the law? Because I didn't ask for a break. If anything, I said, give me the damn ticket. I didn't ask for a break. So I find my registration. He looks at that, but all along, he's trying to provoke me, okay? And I told him, I said, sir, I will not argue with you. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm not going to argue with you. So I said, I'm trying to simply give you what you asked for. That's what I'm trying to do. So then he tells me that, you did something about me having an attitude. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you know me? I said, because if you don't know me, you don't even know me well enough to even know if I do have an attitude. How are you going to meet somebody right away and know in that moment if they have an attitude or if they're sad or if they're anything about, you don't even know them. You don't know me to know whether or not I have an attitude. So y'all, we come back to the window with these 2 tickets, okay? Texting and driving. Now, I could pull my phone record up. I wasn't on the phone. I wasn't texting. I was
Right.
at Kurt from John P. Key station, to be exact. Texting and driving and following too close. Now, let me tell y'all something. Let me educate y'all. Every law enforcement officer in this country know if I write you a ticket for following too close, I'm just giving you a ticket, okay? Because according to the law, it's every 10 miles per hour, there should be 20 feet.
20 feet.
What's that? 70 feet. Now, how many people got 70 feet in between each car? So technically, we all follow too close, right? So we know if you get that ticket or you're given that ticket, that's that cop being a butthole. So I get the tickets, and he tells me, my name is such and such and such. If you want to complain, and the city hall is here. And I said, okay. I wrote his name. As I'm writing his name down, he tells me it's on the ticket. And then let me go back, y'all. He said,
how long is this?
Well, I know you enforce federal law, but state law. I stopped up and said, I enforce.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he told me, he said, we're all supposed to be in this together. And when he said that, I proceeded to say, you know, I come up and down that highway twice a day. What if y'all done seen these cop shows and highway patrol and the police don't always win that the suspect get the upper hand? And what if I'm traveling and I see the police, me being who I am, and a lot of people know, they know when I work Center Point, they used to call me Big Red, they know when I work, they know Jackson. So they know I ain't no lightweight. If I was to see an officer need my help, I'm stopping and I'm going to help. But just think about this, y'all. After this man, these 2 guys have done me. And the chief stops me in that statement. And he says, I was just thinking that. Like, he may need you one day. I mean, that's realistically, y'all. I mean, they're sitting there on the highway, they running right at it. And you know what he told me, y'all? This is what's going to get y'all. He said, they don't even write tickets. So what they tell y'all? I got this one, well, I got these too. But they don't write tickets. They really don't write tickets. So that means my black butt was getting them today. And that means that it's like, y'all, I'm kind of like lost for words, man, because it's like, they like, you ain't getting this ticket. But we don't write it, but you get it, right? So he said, get out of my car. Oh my, get out this. All right, y'all, let's back to business. Back to business. So what that means for real though, if they don't really write tickets, but they wrote me a ticket, but then he also said that the other guy, the Turner guy, is a interdiction guy. So what does that mean? Interdiction, for y'all that doesn't know, they're looking for drugs. They're looking for money. Okay, that's where interdiction is. If you got an officer, or you see those units that says interdiction and stuff like that, they're not looking for speeders. They don't care about that. They are looking for drugs. Okay, so that tells me if they really don't write tickets, then you looked at my vehicle, my windows were down. You knew I was black. You probably thought I was a man with his haircut. So you said, ooh, I got a good one. That's what that tells me. And I know that's what it was about. So with all that being said, y'all, hey, know the law, okay? Be careful. Because if this happened to me in my uniform, then what's the level that it really would have went to if I wasn't?
And I think that's a great way to end that.
Yes.
This we can't stop other people from I mean, you can't control other people's behavior. All you can do is control your behavior, right? And we can work to create a system where those types of microaggressions happen so frequently that it's become just a part of our normal lives. That when you get stopped, you just expect to have some form of fuckery happen.
Yeah.
You know, that expectation in and of itself is a problem, because I don't know how we're going to get past the conversation about, again, how people treat us and how we treat each other. Like, I hate to say this, but like, because I naturally expect non-Black people to treat me like shit, I'm never disappointed. I'm never, put it like this, when they don't treat me like shit, I'm surprised. And it's a pleasant surprise. It's like, oh, you're nice. Oh, you were, but I don't expect for my own people to treat me the way that officer treated her. I don't expect for my people to treat me in a manner that is less than who we are collectively. And I think that we need to shift the conversation, for me at least, on let's treat each other the way that we want white people to treat us. That's it. That's if we can do that, if we can treat each other.
Yeah, I gotta get a flag on that one.
Go ahead.
I'll just say that I'm the exact opposite, right? I am what happens to me a lot, right, is that Black people, like if I get stopped by a cop or anything like that, right, 9 times out of 10, if they're Black, 3 or 4 minutes into the conversation, are you Jill Tracy? And that changes, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just real. Because I've been on the radio in this market for over 20 years. I mean,
Yes.
I get people all the time. They're like, oh my God, my mom used to like drive to school listening to you. And I'm like, thank you, because it's good to still be relevant. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You are a grown man. And so, a woman, right? So that changes the narrative a lot of times for me. It has stopped me from getting a ticket, you know? But at the same time, my interactions with white people most of the time, yeah.
I was expecting more, Roy. I was like, what? Like, but that's how country people are. Country people will take you.
Yes.
Right. White people a lot of times want to guide me to the service entrance because they assume that, you know, especially if I'm in spaces that are, you know, they don't expect to see us. I'm either coming for a job or, you know, or something to that effect. Being, oh, you're checking in. You know, I think that I understand what you're saying, but and I would offer that I want us to treat each other like the family that we are. You know, if you got a sister that gets on your nerves all the damn time, you still invite her to the cookout. And at some point, once y'all had enough hen dog, you all will work that out. Okay. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? I want us to give each other the grace that we give people that we care about. You know, because if it comes down, if it was like for that cop, for instance, if it's 2 black women in the car and 2, you know, white disrespectful officers stop them, you know, those 2 women they're gonna ride or die together. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna just be like, well, girl, they ain't my fight. They ain't stop me. That's not gonna happen.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when we talk about our better angels, it's like, it's just that. If I walk past Miss Bessie's house and it's trash in front of her house, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna stop and pick it up because I know she, you know, I should want to do that for her. I should want to, you know, much to your point, that whole idea of community, that, you know, I am my neighbor's keeper, you know, or I always send people back to the movie The Help. I think we miss so much in that movie. But there's this one scene that just always sticks out to me, that Viola Davis has to stay. The lady won't let her go home. Her, you know, the lady she worked for won't let her go home. And so she has to stay. And so Octavia Spencer says to her, okay, well, I'll go home. I'll feed whatever the husband's name and the kids, and, you know, I'll take care of that for you. And then you need anything else? And she's like, no, and she leaves. And so you see Viola Davis back at the house, still with this, you know, with the white lady being disrespectful. And then you see Viola Davis get on the bus, go to the house, fix dinner, lay out the clothes for the kids, all of that. And we used to do that for each other.
Yes.
I don't know I can't tell where the marker is in time where, you know, everything to me goes back to crack in the 80s. I feel like crack just ruined our communities, period. But that is the thing that with the grace we have to start giving each other again before we can give it to anybody else.
Yeah, and we have to repair broken families, because that's where it's gonna all start. Like, our families are so broken. Just to hear stories of families, and even personally my family, like the family unit is broken, and we have to fix that, because how can we love our neighbor when we can't even love our own family member who we share the same blood with?
Yeah, that's, you know, and until we come up with some strategies to work that out, we circle in the drain.
Yes, exactly.
I can't demand that somebody outside of my house love me, but I'm not demanding that of the people that are here, or demanding, like, we got to work this out. We cannot, We can't
keep
have
going on like this.
Right.
It's not right.
It just can't happen. So, and I think, and that's, that kids only learn what they see. So you could be saying all kind of stuff, but if what they see, what they feel is anger and violence in their home, then every time somebody comes up on the street, that's what they feel. And that's the first impulse, And I don't know where we lost that one, but yeah, until we can come up with some substantive ways that we are going to, and quite frankly, I really believe that part of that is going to have to be like the educational system and communities partnering so that we're creating a through line for these kids.
Exactly. So it can happen simultaneously. Yep. It should happen that way. You're correct.
It's not where here you go in this space and you got to be this person, and then you come over here, you do whatever the hell you want. No.
Exactly.
Okay. And children want structure.
They do.
This idea, right? That they just want to do. I just let him be. No, they want to know they don't know.
They want to know what's happening next. They want to know.
And I had I call them the 2 G's because it's a father and a son. They're both named Gerald Grant. And they have their business is helping predominantly Black families create generational wealth. And they talk, and I talk about like where does that start? And to my mind, it starts at the piggy bank, and it's like that's exactly where it starts. That from the day that you have a conscience of money, you can learn to save, and that is where you don't get 35 and get the good job, and then it's just like no, at 7 with that piggy bank, and knowing how to pay yourself first.
Yes.
So there's all of those little things, and they're doable, right?
They are.
More. I talk about how we got more organizations for young girls or young this, that, and others. Too many of them for us still to be in this situation. I'm sorry.
It's true. It's true. We do have a lot of organizations,
right? It's like 1,000 damn organizations. It's like, well, what are you organizing? Our communities are still a damn mess.
But
they are.
It's that's the thing, Joe. And that's why I was telling Aisha, people get so upset with me because they're like, oh my God, you're so fucking judgmental. And I'm just like, no, man, I even included myself into that when I say, is hungry Black man, and so it's 2 worlds, right? They'll be like, oh, hungry Black man, you're doing a great job in the community. No, I'm not, because my role on this planet is a Jeremiah. That's my role. So anyone is in the church, they knew what the prophet Jeremiah did. That is, I hate to say God, because I even think that's arrogance and like this big celestial power is not.
Well, you got the whole look going on over there. All you need is a crown of thorns, and yeah.
I am going to ignore you. So anyway, everybody has a role, right? So your role would be more like Delilah. And so at the end of the day, you now look and you say to yourself, this is where I'm being pushed. This is where, I'm being pushed. And so I now have to make sure that my shit's together, right? That I'm blameless, right? And that's what people don't understand about righteousness. Like, if I am a crack addict, right? And my crack addiction does not affect Jill Tracy in any way, does not affect Tawana in any way, right? I am now bearing that cross. You don't have to see me acting crazy. You don't have to feel me acting crazy, but I'm addicted to crack. I am still blameless, and I'm still righteous because my inequity is not affecting and impacting anyone in any negative way. If I'm still a great brother, a great father, a great friend, and I deliver on everything I'm supposed to do, people have to understand. So now if I'm on crack and I go into Jill's house and we're supposed to work on the show, and she goes, well, where the fuck is my waffle maker? Well, where the hell that went at? And they look up and I'm selling the shit. Now I'm unrighteous because I've allowed my inequity to not allow me to be blameless. Now I'm unrighteous because I allow my inequity to impact Jill. But if I never impacted Jill and I'm still sowing positivity in her life, I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do, and she has no idea, but I'm smoking crack every day I get home. And there are a lot of people that live those lives where they say to themselves, hey, I'm stronger than the addiction. However, it's still ravaging my body. And my was a prime example of that. He was an alcoholic and he died at 88 years old. And he was a massive, he was a principal, and his wife got up there and announced it. None of us knew. And she was like, he battled alcoholism for 40 years. And she's like, not once did he put his hands on me. Not once did he was not in his children's lives. Not once and she just broke down. Because her seeing this, that you go home, and there's so many people like that. They go home every day and they drink 3-4 shots of vodka or whatever, and they live their lives. And so when I say that to people in our community, we have a lot of that, right? We have a lot of folks with issues, but that's no excuse for you now to go out and be unrighteous, to go out and harm people or do fuck shit, right?
Yeah.
These politicians, that's what makes me so mad with them. They go, well, you know, when you look at it, and we just ask ourselves, what do we want from Black people, and what do we want from our people? There's a guy on my page that's a Moor, right? He believes in the Moorish identity. He doesn't believe that we should call ourselves Black, that we should call ourselves Moors, and all this other stuff, right? And I think it's so inconsequential. But his thing is, if we connect, we're going to be better. We're going to wear dashikis and shit. And I'm like, okay, I wear my dashiki. Do I even know what the shit means? No, I don't know. So I bump into Africans, Jill and Tawana, and they'll be like, oh, that's such and such. And I can't connect to that because I'm like, I'm American. Like my this arm is in Senegal. This arm is in Benin. This head is in Sudan. My leg is in Angola. So as Black Americans, we got all those ethnicities in us. And that's what made Beyonce's shit so powerful the weekend, because she showed that. She showed all you know, you just did you see it? Did you see
I haven't. I'm gonna watch it now.
It's amazing.
Because I thought you had to have Disney Plus to watch it, but Stark said no. You just pay the $7 and watch it.
Yeah, you just pay the fee, and I saw that, and all these dumb fake ass Christians calling her demonic. I was just like fucking Sambo, brainwashed European. Like, what the fuck?
Well, you know what? And I will say something about that, right? Because back in the day, I remember vividly my great grandmother and my grandmother always said, if you don't have something nice to say, just don't say it.
Yeah.
And and debate, wrestling with that as a journalist as I came up. But then it's like something like when I hit 30, and I had to sit at a Iyanla Vanzant's knee every day for a year. I got it. That it's like, you have to act on it, but you can't act out on everything. It just is. I don't know how to deliver it to a younger generation who doesn't have an experience of having grandmothers and grandfathers that were truth tellers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, because there's no experience that'll give you that, because that is what teaches you empathy and compassion and, and responsibility.
Yes.
That the way I walk in the world is a reflection of who brought me here. And I can't make them look bad.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is, I got to clean it up.
Yeah.
I got to do right by them. That is, and that's right now is what we're missing. Because
exactly.
These kids are looking at their parents like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tawana. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that goes back to what I said about my dad. I know he died in 1994 and I still won't throw trash on the ground. So that shows that was embedded in my head. Like, you cannot go around dirty in the neighborhood.
Right.
The thing that pissed me off about Anessa's Anthony said, yet people are throwing her under the bus for it. Exactly. The trend of calling African spirituality and symbolism demonic is so anti-Black, and all of them are okay being loud and ignorant, the secondhand embarrassment. Aisha said there were some Illuminati demonic images that were shown in that video, and it had nothing to do with African culture. And those same images have been shown in White Rock videos and other rap videos. So the thing is that, Aisha, you have to understand that there is something called appropriation and co-opting. Those things that folks are using in satanic rituals and things of that nature, they're attempting to co-opt and adopt African spirituality for their own purposes. That's their narrative. So they've taken voodoo, which is an amazing religion in West Africa, and then through Hollywood, they called it voodoo, and they made it extremely negative. And so there's a very interesting documentary with the guy, I can't pronounce his name, but he's an actor that played in Amistad. That guy, he does a great documentary.
Jamin Hunsu.
Him. He does a great documentary on voodoo and what it really means. And so when you see like horned, half men, half human things and things of that nature, that is what you document as demonic. But when you look at Christianity, someone put a post up, it's so interesting. Like people are calling Beyonce demonic, and they're going to get up tomorrow and eat flesh and drink blood. I mean, and that's literally communion. That's what communion is. It's a Roman rite. That is a Roman rite. That has nothing to do with Christ. It has everything to do with the way that they have just disrupted God's word. And when you want true Christianity and you go to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, you understand how they view Christ less as like a God than as someone who we should follow because he was born of a human experience, and it shows the God in us. It shows how we can be Christ-like, and they focus on that. And so we have to stop interpreting. And someone says, I'm very familiar with African spirituality. Devil eyes, goat skulls, red horns are demonic. They're not. And let me say that Catholic Church has very demonic symbols. But Aisha, your understanding of Christianity is through the lens of a Protestant Puritan understanding, because that's the lineage in which we've been taught. We've been taught under the Protestant view of Christianity. So you are going to take anything that's outside of that dogma and you're going to now demonize it, because it is something that the Protestant church with Tituba and the Salem witch trials and all of those things, like people have to understand that the white folks that came over here, the Puritans, the way that they interpreted Christianity was so visceral and wrong. And even the Catholics who were over in Europe, if you were a woman and you were past the age of 25 and you were unmarried, you were automatically a witch. You couldn't do anything. It would be demonic. If you were a single woman and you were proposed and some guy came to you and said, okay, look, you're 30 years old, we need to get married, and you turned him down, he would go to the town priest and say, you know what? I went to jail and she was in there and she had a crow's skull. And they would go, oh. And so now they would go take Jill, ask her all these questions, and put her through the witch test. We are going to put Jill on a log, and we're going to put the log in the water, and we are going to see if Jill survives. If she survives, now we're going to strap her up and burn her at the stake because she's a witch. If she dies, her soul will rest in heaven. And these were the types of edicts and laws that these folks were putting people through. And so when we see African spirituality and we see the usage of African symbolism, the ancient Nubian gods, they look different. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to get off this. Everybody has to understand whatever there is that exists out there, whatever power that exists, it's one. It's one fucking power. And so whatever that power is, the way that you tap into it and the way that you interpret it, it is going to be respected in that fray. Only white people have the monotheistic faith have attacked people and killed people to force them to believe the shit that they fucking believe. And that is wrong. And we have to stop doing that as Christians. I identify as a Christian because of the philosophy. But what I will not do is police demonic behavior, because the demonic behavior is just like that doctor that everyone's picking at. They're picking at that lady because she's saying most of these people got demons in them. And she's right. And she said, if they come in here, they'll be rolling around on the ground because when they see my presence, I mean, the lady might be crazy, but she's right. This racism is demonic. And so all these fucking Christians looking at goddamn fake Christians, looking at a Beyonce video saying she's demonic, go cast that demon out of Trump. He looks demon possessed every time he hits that goddamn golf course. Red eyes, skin all fucked up. If you put him in a fucking Exorcist movie and you walked around a big ass cross, he would be a candidate to be demonically possessed. Mitch McConnell. Let me pull these motherfuckers up so you can see how they look. These people are demonically possessed, but they want to talk about fucking Beyonce. Go cast Mitch McConnell demon out.
Morning madness.
Look at this man, demonic. Look at his fucking face. This ain't no damn normal fucking human. And we talking about Beyonce. Look at this goddamn man. Who the fuck looks like that? That he doesn't look demonic. Look at him. Look at this guy.
Well, you know.
Come on, Jill. Oh my Lord. And so now you looking.
You're so mean. Your point is well taken.
What's the hell?
I will just say that you know, I do my best not to demonize anybody. And those
that's what they're complaining about. This
behind them, I make sure I stay away from.
That's what they're complaining about
right now.
Jill, you see that?
What? Oh, that one? That's the image?
Yeah, one right. Yeah, that.
Y'all gonna listen. Let me tell you something. Y'all gonna leave Beyonce alone because she is. God sent us Beyonce for a reason, and I'm gonna need y'all to respect it because it is. It's so funny how, you know, Kelly Rowland came out well, she didn't come out. She's on one of those shows where she's mentoring new artists, and she was trying to, you know, talk to them about how you find your place, whatever. And she talked about how difficult it was for her to be, you know, in a group with Beyonce.
Yes.
Like, I mean, like, hello, it's Beyonce. And then, of course, the story was like, you know, oh, Kelly talks about how hard it was for her. And she's like, hello, she's Beyonce, for God's sakes. It's like, she's the biggest star in the world. I mean, you know, to have to stand next to her and hold your place and be it. She's like, it's a lot. You know, you're like standing under her light all the time. But she wasn't saying, you know, that she loves her, you know, but she's like, but I am kind of in her shadow.
No, we just listen, man.
I hate when people just don't, you know, I can't say that. I would never say that everybody doesn't have whatever Beyonce has, and we all possess it. You know what I'm saying? But some of us activate it.
Yes.
Beyonce is.
I think that's just it.
Beyonce is someone, you know, when I looked at the video, it was just so beautiful. The whole movie was just beautiful. The costumes, the music, the messaging. And so I was just mad because I'm like, these goddamn fake Christians, like, how the fuck did you miss all of that shit and you zoning on this one thing?
Looking for something. It's like,
you know, and then
but it goes back to what we said, StarX. It's because somebody did it to them.
Yes.
That's why you have to protect your children and on every level, because those things never die. A dark-skinned child who is teased constantly, you know, when she's younger, you look black pickaninny and all the things that go around there, or you're fat, the big girl in the room, whatever it is, you have to protect your children. You have to teach them constantly who they are, because that will kill them.
You have to undo that damage.
Right. If I didn't enter the world from out of my house confident feeling that I was a young, smart, beautiful girl, that the world could have fucked me up.
Exactly.
You know what's crazy?
Exactly. Please believe. Right. Can I get an amen?
You know what's really crazy? And those people who know me when I was a kid, I lived in so many different neighborhoods and had experienced so many different people. And I remember when Hurricane Andrew hit, that's when we moved to an impoverished neighborhood in Opelika because our home was not livable and we had to move. And those 2 years living in that community were the best years of my life because it was the first time that I started getting ranked on. It was the first time that I started getting picked at because in the white schools, you just kind of came as you are and they would pick on their own, but they did it in a different way. Their bullying, white kids bullying is I'm going to go home and kill myself or shoot up this school. Black kids bullying is different. So when I got, because if you are a black child and you fight back, it diminishes because they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this person because they're going to actually fight back. And then I would see the kids. So I never forget the first time that this kid attempted to bully me was my first fight. And it was crazy. I was in school. I was a rocker. I listened to Green Day and Nirvana. And it was 1992. And I was in elementary. I never forget this. I came in the classroom and they were just looking at me so different and I was like, why are you staring at me? But it was the way I was dressed. I had the Jinko jeans, the Airwalks, the dog chain, and I played this game called Pogs. I was just different. And so it was my first time seeing a black girl in my class. Like it was crazy. So I remember this girl was beautiful in my mind. So I was like, oh my God, she's beautiful. And so I went and the girls played this game called tetherball. And you would hit the ball and it would wrap around the pole. Oh. And so I went over and it was PE and all the guys were playing throw up tackle. I didn't play any sports. I was terrible at sports. And so I went because I wanted to talk to her and I would start playing the game with her. And so it was this kid and he was just like, man, you playing a girl with the game. They needed one more guy to complete their team. And I was like, oh, I don't want to play that. And I didn't know how to play. And I got kind of like pressured into going over there and playing the game. So I went over there to impress her because she was now looking at this whole throw up tackle game. And I got laid out. I got laid out on the ground. And I was just on the ground in pain. And I'm on the ground thinking, Jill, I'm like, my God, you are so pathetic. Why would you put yourself in this position? So I get up and this kid's just ranking the hell out of me. I mean, just ranking me, And so we went into the cafeteria after PE and he came over there and he wouldn't stop. And so it was some guys in the neighborhood that were, lived around me, knew I was a new kid. And it was like, man, leave him alone. Like they defended me. And so when they were defending me, this is such a crazy story. These people are around now to verify these stories. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Y'all don't need anybody to defend me. And I had a trapper keeper. I took that fucking trapper keeper and I hit that guy upside the head so hard with it. I initiated it. And the kid was older than me, he was bigger than me. And I got my ass beat. I got my ass beat so bad. And so I went home and I told my father. And the next day, my dad dropped me to school. And I'm thinking he's going to go out there and defend me and deal with this. My dad made me fight that fucking kid again. And I fought that kid. I fought that kid about 6 different times until I eventually learned how to fight. And I went over to a more rough middle school and I got into fight. It was just, but I say all that to say no one had to. Opelika, think about this for a second. We talk about the inner city and what it does and what it does to negatively impact us. But there are some gems there that we need to preserve. Yes. And what I learned from there that I would have never learned from the white community was, number one, to defend myself verbally and physically, number one. Number two, when you had kids, always remember the different kids in Black neighborhoods are always suited for greatness because they are fighting. I'm used to fighting the masses. I'm used to being the only one. And so as I got older, it's weighing on me now because I'm just trying to get people to understand, like, why the fuck don't you see a little 7-year-old girl die? You don't give a fuck. And so now I'm out there with the Tawanas and all these other people who, if you peel back the layers in our lives, we were the only ones at some level in our life. We were the only ones. And I did a live. And the book of Matthew says that, Jill. The book of Matthew says, many are called, few are chosen. Yeah. And so when you start seeing that repeated in African spirituality and you realize who you are, you realize like God was preparing me since birth for this shit. Because now I don't give a fuck what nobody says about me. Because if I hadn't have gone to Nathan B. Young and went through that shit, then I wouldn't be the man that I am today. I would.
You know what I think is different there, because when it does that, it turns into that for men, but for women, there's always, like, I'm not gonna let you see me sweat, but I will go home and call my good girlfriend and cry about how that shit happened. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know,
you have to have your venting partners. You have to.
And I think that is, you know, when you were talking, and that kind of answers why, you know, we just can keep going. We can get up in the next morning and go back to that same situation and be like, good morning. And how
good morning, just like that, with all the pain in your head and your heart and your mind and in your soul. Yes.
Yep.
I think that, and so for
men don't typically have that. Men don't typically, I said, and men don't typically have that. You don't have a boy that let me call my boy and tell him what
you do.
We can be as a woman, I can be all of it. I can tell my good girl friend that I was a bitch to her, or I did this, or I did the other, or they hurt my feelings, or whatever, and she will bring me back to one.
You know what it is, guys? We have that, Jill, but our friendships they're not superficial. Well, there's a level. Okay, so there's a level of superficiality with Black male relationships that we have that Black women don't have, because we can't be completely vulnerable around our friends. And so you'll be more vulnerable around a woman than you will your friend. And that's problematic, because a lot of guys don't really have female friends that they didn't have some sort of relationship with in the past. And if they do have a female friend, she's a sister, and she turns into almost a mother sister role. And I have to stop myself, because I do that to my business partner way too much. Felicia is literally, she falls into those roles, and she'll stop me and be like, Starks, I got a husband and children. I got this. You act like, you know, and I'm not going to her with my problems, but it's like I'll dismiss all the shit she has to do. Like, focus on me now.
Focus on,
Well, because, and we will, when we're present, if we care about you and we're present with you, we're going to be right there with you in that moment. Now, 10 minutes from now, I may have to go deal with my burning house, but in this 10 minutes, I'm going to, whatever you need, I'm going to do my best to provide it, and then I'll go over here and deal with this fire. But, you know, that's, you know, we have women at period have to shape shift, and Black women, you know, I don't know what you even.
But Stanley did such a great job, because
every door we walked through, we got to shape shift, you know. And
no, I've seen it happen, man. Listen, I've seen it happen with my mother. I've seen it happen with my sisters. I've seen it happen with, and a lot of powerful women, right? Women who are very successful. You know, the amount of, like, let's just take, I was going to say, we should take the women who are candidates for vice president. Yes. Kamala Harris, what's her name? Val Demings, who I'm praying, but I told you guys on this live, I predicted it. It's going to be Kamala Harris. I'm telling you, it's going to be her. Yeah, I want Val Demings too. Her story is great. Val Demings, she's a clean, she's law enforcement. But we all know, everybody on here knows of Val Demings. She was either your auntie or the principal or your first manager, or, you know what I'm saying? It is that Black woman that's like,
I want to be just like her. You know what I'm saying? Because they're empathetic, but they don't let nobody mess with them. You know, everybody respects them. The white boys are afraid of them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be her. You want to have her in your corner. Kamala, however, is the black woman that all of those men's wives sit on boards with.
You got it right down, Pat. She's that's that black woman, Kathy Hughes. She's Valerie Jarrett. She's that. She's the Lynx.
Yep. Yeah.
She's the Lynx.
Val Demings is a Zeta. Kamala is a Lynx. Right?
You know what's crazy? I thought Val Demings was a Zeta, but she's a Delta. But
but Delta, Zeta, same energy.
You're right.
Kamala would be an AKA.
Oh, she is an AKA.
Oh, there she is. And scene.
So I think that I really think, Jill, that my whole thing, all of this energy that's happening right now, and the live that I'm going to do later is going to be speaking to Black Greeks and Black men. I don't like the invisibleness. Jill, wrap this up for Black women, because that was what we were supposed to be talking about. I don't like the invisibleness that we're seeing Black women suffering go unheard. When Black women die, when Black girls die, think about this. Think about this for a second. Remember when all those Black girls were kidnapped in Nigeria, and it took Frederica Wilson to lose her fucking mind? Where the fuck were the Black male? Like, they didn't care. It was just like, it was a one-woman show. It was Frederica Wilson against the fucking world.
Well, I mean that's a whole nother show to be had, because everybody feels that it's okay to put Black women last. Everybody.
You can't. And even Black women.
But you know what I'm saying? If you really honest and you look at that, and I will even throw Hispanic women up in there too, because Naya Rivera died and she drowned, and her 3-year-old was found in a boat by herself, and we've not heard another goddamn word about that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just like, that would never happen. If that had been Leonardo DiCaprio, we'd still be hearing that shit every day, all that damn day.
It's true.
And so, our lives, and I would go back slightly to that Black Lives Matter, because that is created by a Black woman. And I think that's where that's just like that primal scream. Like, my fucking life matters. Like, Jesus, I'm supposed to take care of everybody else's shit and be empathetic with everybody else and understand my boss and why I can't get a raise and why his wife and why she not fucking him and he coming to me telling me this shit. I'm supposed to be there for all of this. But I need 3 days off because I need a moment. And you're just so important to this company. We just, we can't do that at this moment, but we do understand. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to just be like, okay.
No matter how qualified,
it doesn't
matter.
You remember when Nina Simone died, when Maya Angelou died, when it stayed in that maybe about Zorn. It stays. It's a fucking blurb.
Yeah.
They get a little banner. Done. Kobe Bryant died, and it was tragic. Yeah, but that shit stayed for a month.
Even my cousin, the singer Betty Wright, when she died, it went like, pew.
That was it. And so, as a Black man that sees this shit, it has to change, because Black men, we don't realize it, but Black women are so loyal that they will literally work against their best interest to support the Black man.
Exactly.
And it's like, we don't see that shit. We want to.
Guess who showboated around and treated like royalty on the Black man's arm? It's not usually us.
The white woman.
It's not usually us.
No, it's either the white woman or some non-Black person. And you know, the thing that gets me mad is that I see it all the time, man. All these black-owned restaurants I'll review, the ones that have money, that are big, that have all this financing. You find out they're an NFL player, and you look in, it's a white woman back there with a fucking calculator doing all that. I'm like, what is? Oh, that's my wife. I'm like, what is this? No, I'm like, what? And listen, I am all for loving who you want to love.
Exactly.
Like, my fucking God, the NFL is filled like fucking. Can someone just cancel Terry Crews? Gabrielle Union's over there. She's telling people, I got the article and you guys can look it up. Gabrielle Union saying on the Dancing with the Stars, these motherfuckers are racist. You got Jay Leno on there saying all these racist ass jokes and shit. And she complained about it. And here come his coon ass. Oh, it wasn't like that. It wasn't that bad. No one's talking to you. You inserted yourself into her fucking fight. And that's why I was so happy to see Dwayne Wade come in and defend his fucking wife. You shut the fuck up, Terry. Go. If you want to be a fucking Sambo and a coon, go work for Trump. Go work for these people and craft their messaging so you and goddamn Terrence Williams and goddamn that dumbass woman, what's her name? Candace Owens and those twins and all these other, y'all can just have a big coon convention. Just have a big ass fucking and so, you know, when I see this, Jill, the biggest influence in my career was a black woman. Her name was Janie Beverly. And Janie Beverly, I don't even know what the fuck happened to her. She was the city manager of Opelika, and she gave me my first opportunity. She treated me like a son in that job. And she would just teach me so much, and she gave me my first opportunity. And I did very well in that position because I had constant support from her. She had a husband, a son, all this responsibility, and she would sit in a parking lot with me. And she would say it. She would say, Mr. Star X, I gotta go home to my family. And she would never fucking leave. Right. And when she got fired, that was the only time in my adult male life that I felt that I was gonna fucking cry. I sat in a goddamn city council meeting and I let them berate her. I just wanted to stand up and y'all stop. I literally wanted to get up and just beat the shit out of these commissioners. They were so disrespectful to her. And she gave so much of herself and her heart to that city. And that's why women in those type of roles are so important, because they have the energy. They can tap into masculine energy when they need to, but because they're women, they're natural nurturers. And so even if they're just as mean and cold as they want to be, there is a level that they understand. As a woman, my job is to heal. You know?
Well, and that's why it's called Mother Nature and not Father Nature, because at the end of the day, we want everything to live and grow and be beautiful and prosperous.
Yes, yes.
Where are you at?
And you know, and so everything that comes with it, like I'm reading the comments over here. Everything that comes with it, we're able to bear. And like I said, we will take counsel with each other. When our tolerance level is low, and unfortunately, for men like that, I mean, it's just so, that takes a full woman conversation. But
look at this shit.
Understand when I say that when you encounter men like that are all pleasant in your face, but get behind closed doors and throw you under the bus.
Yes,
they're insecure around you.
Yes,
and they don't feel like they don't even deserve to be in your presence, and they know it. So then they have to admonish you for making them feel that way. It's like, I'm just showing up as who I am. Yes. You really have some things that you need to go deal with. They got nothing to do with me, but they can't own their own shit. I mean,
exactly.
Look at what Jamel said, and it's so fucking true. We still hear about John Benet Ramsey decades after she died.
It'll be another special next month. Waiting for it.
Yes.
Exactly. I took her cast members going back and forth with her with the authority and pleading with them to show some urgency for Naya's body to be found. It shouldn't have taken that.
Exactly. It's like, oh,
I'm going through the comments.
Child and drown. In other news,
it's sad to say they missed it in the household. So how much you expect? if they come back and lead the household, maybe we can see some change.
Lovely Quita.
So lovely Quita, this is the thing with this, right?
And then we leave it.
Black men, no, the guy, I had to move my appointment, so because so we got
No. We do have to leave at 12.
No, we got 6 minutes.
Oh,
I'm looking at the clock right here. I'm looking at the clock. It's at 1:54. Me and Jill are talking about making sure that we end the show at 2 hours because that's what. Yeah. We have to strategically align our programs and our messaging with what we want, right? So these mantras that we say think about our mantras. We need Black men to be the head of their households, and we need them back in the house.
Yes.
We need to teach our kids their history. We need to respect and value our women, and we need to value our lives, right? Those 4 things that we say over and over and over. You have all these nonprofits that are supposed to be doing this work. So now my thing is, the meeting we had with all the Black leaders on last week, that was the conversation, Joe, and you'll be on the next one, so you can see the power of that meeting, because it was the first time where my proposal to them was remove the imaginary boundaries of Miami Gardens, of Liberty City, of Opelika, of Perrine, of Goulds, of North Miami Beach, and understand that we are one people and that our problems are ubiquitous. Our problems are synonymous. So when you now go to Miami-Dade County for appropriation, it's not appropriation to just fix that one road. It's an appropriation to fix all the roads in these Black communities. So we have to start looking at ourselves as a monolith, because everyone keeps saying the opposite. Stop talking to those people when they're always celebrating the fact that I think different from Jill and Jill thinks different from Tawana. That is not to be celebrated. It's to be acknowledged. You can acknowledge it, but you need to celebrate the unity. And that's the conversation that we don't have. What makes us alike? What makes us the same? So now you want to go, oh, let's talk about the LGBT. Let's talk about this. I'm like, stop that shit. Like, that's all we ever fucking do. What do we fucking agree on? And now let's take that shit. And we can agree that a 7-year-old being shot in the back of the head is not an issue of fucking, oh, I want to do. No, we are focused on that. And so now we want to, and we can all agree that our communities are fucking dirty. We can focus on that. We can all agree that Black people in Miami-Dade County have the highest incidence of financial insecurity, right? So you need to focus on that. So my thing is, now let's focus on that shit. That's all I'm saying. So Anessa said is, don't be stingy.
You see the little alarm clock has showed up.
Okay.
Someone said, you heard about Sambo Jonathan. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, Roy. Jonathan Isaac, who played for the Orlando Magic, he said all lives matter and used religion as the reason why he didn't kneel or wore a Black Lives Matter shirt like the rest of the NBA. And last night he tore his ACL out for the season. God snatched.
Thank you, Roy.
Someone said a knee for a knee.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Terry Crews, I thought a guy who got his nuts grabbed by a white man in front of his wife and didn't do anything said something.
Yes, you are so right.
He doesn't deserve our forgiveness. He keeps doubling down on that bullshit. 4 apologies later, he should have had that energy when it happened.
No, we keep.
And now he keeps apologizing, but the gag is, Gabby, the rest of the Black women aren't going to forgive that man.
No.
When Whitney died, my mom cried for so long. She might be one of the few whose death was actually in the news longer than because it was all salacious.
It had every element of scandal you can possibly add.
Exactly.
It's salacious, right? So when you can paint a Black woman, if a Black woman like Jada, Jada stayed in the news for a long time because it was salacious. And now, let's talk about the infidelities of this woman or whatever the fuck she did that was fucking stupid.
Oh, Jada Pinkett.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I also do want. I think we should talk at some point about that cancel culture, because I'm torn. I have a lot of friends online making a fortune a fortune just, throwing celebrities under the bus and driving it back and forth over them.
Yeah.
And there's because they're making so much money, there is no incentive for them to stop this foolishness. However, it is, having swam in those toxic waters for quite some time at the beginning of my middle of my career. Nothing good comes from that. You are what you create, and if you spend all your time talking shit about other people, guess what? It will get on you. And is there some other, because we have quite a diverse audience, is there some other genre that we could be discussing that people would still engage on that level?
What are you talking about?
I mean, like if I put up something saying, at noon, I'm gonna tell you the real story that happened between Asina and Jada, because my girl was there. You know what I'm saying? People will be lined up before I get there.
Yeah.
And it will spread like wildfire by the end of the day. Do you know what I'm saying? And nothing else that we talk about, not even the protests, registered the same kind of analytics online as the August, to your point, to the August Alsina and Jada story.
Mindset.
Like, it was through the roof at the height of the protest in Seattle.
Because you got to do, for instance, Joe, and I realize this. So they wanted, I'll be a fucking tap dancer for them. When I go on those lives and I lose my goddamn temper or I start acting crazy, 9,000 views, 120 shares. But when I'm in a teacher mode and I'm explaining to folks like, hey, this is how you can grow your credit. This is how you grow your business. But then I go on there and go, motherfucking all this up. And so and it's not that I'm doing it on purpose. I literally, when that young girl died, I had a and so it's the same way I feel now about these Black organizations. I'm over them. You guys serve no purpose at this point. All these little bullshit ass youth programs that you have, and you're like, every little bit counts, Starks. You don't understand. No, it doesn't fucking count, because she still died. King Carter still fucking died. And if you now, we can't prevent it all. Yeah, you can, because Coral Gables does it.
Exactly. Black United Way. Like there needs to be one organization that all of these fall up under, because that has been, I've been standing on that for a long time. It's too many of these organizations for our communities to be this messed up. I'm sorry.
Because they don't know what they're doing. It's any old fucking body that goes,
it needs to be like a united, like it's something like one, just like the Greeks. You know what I'm saying? They're national, but then each one has its own chapters, and that's how they have guidelines, and that's how they stay in line with the mission of the organization. Something's got to give on that. We need to start. You need to have to get, some kind of certification to have an organization, something.
Yeah, I agree to that, because there's no pre and no post. Like, we don't know what's going on in these organizations.
I put a post up.
They're collecting all of this money, and people are, I donated, $10,000 to so-and-so. And then you see so-and-so just got a new car. Like, girl, okay.
No,
you know what I mean? Because they do become corrupt. Particularly you take people who originally started something out of something really painful and then throw $200,000 at them.
But I mean, our organization, the Center for Black Innovation, what we're trying to do is that. So as a grant writer, people will call and they'll ask me to write a grant for them. And I used to charge and whatnot. I don't do it anymore, because what I want to do now is create webs of care coordination that are cyclical. So right now I'm going through the process of identifying effective people. Like peacekeepers is effective. And how do we now expand peacekeepers? How do cities now Black cities commit to a Black collective where we collectively solve our problems and fund our organizations that are working? And so we have CDBG funding, we have other sort of earmarks for Black communities. And so when you start working together, when you eliminate the boundaries of language and the Haitian community finally says, hey, we're you know, Black Americans, Black Haitians, Black Jamaicans, let's stop this conversation about division. Let's stop this conversation about what makes us different and start supporting what makes us the same. And so when we start doing that and only focus on that, like eliminate that conversation of anything else until we get to the point where we now see a systemic change. And like Jill, just like Martin King, how you were sharing last week, and John Lewis, like they asked the question of why is this like this, you know? And so I'm asking that question. And one of the biggest problems that we do have is with is the millennials. I'm a millennial, but I'm an 80s baby. These younger millennials, they are so fucking useless. They are self-righteous. They're apathetic. They don't give a fuck about anything. And then the fucking millennial I asked, I said, listen, can you come to this march? A little girl was shot and killed. You know, Felicia had her ass out there, and Felicia hates shit like that. But Felicia, this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, it should have broken all of us. It should have broken all of us.
But guess what? I asked this kid, hey, can you come out here? You know, I'm not an organizer. Can you come out? Oh, that's too heavy for me. But you're taking pictures standing in front of a white man officer face and looking like you're defying everything. And they're out there dream defenders and all these bullshit ass fucking people. And now you see who they truly are. Because when the shit happens to their own people, the children, right? There's no cameras out there for Alana. But I guarantee you, if Channel 7, Channel 10, all of them were out there, the next March, oh yeah, we're gonna be on it. We're gonna be out there. And that's why James Bush was so goddamn mad. Because James is like, all these motherfuckers that you had on that fucking call, they need to be out here. They all need to be out here.
And that's, you know, anyway, that to what the conversation I had with you after that that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's just and being torn. I will tell you now, okay, baby, get down. I will tell you now the difference. Before, I really just didn't care. I really didn't care. I was just like, you know, oh, it's scandalous. Ooh, you know, I mean, because you're drinking the Kool-Aid. But then once you know, realize that, okay, it's not all about a story. It's like you really create, especially I think when people started recognizing me from my voice. I'd be in Walgreens and, you know, and on another aisle talking to somebody and somebody come around there, Jill Tracy. You know what I'm saying? I realized that it resonates and it is important to people, right? So I can't be reckless with it. You know, and think that I could just face and throw off shit. And no, it does matter. And you don't know how it's, so you got to really be authentic at all times, right?
Yes.
You can own it, whatever it is. And there are just too many people out here screaming for the attention, but there's nothing behind it. They just want the attention. They just want you to pay attention to them.
I'm the opposite, man. I don't even want to be
or another. Exactly. But most of the people who do this work are this. You don't really see me no other time. You hear me on the radio. Now, you know, it's these streams and stuff. But other than that, you don't see me. We're on a stage together, you know, being honored, or we're hosting something. But other than that, you don't, because if you are really doing the work, you don't have time.
You don't have time.
Yeah. To create content that's going to live on well past you and be valid to people after the fact. We rant and stuff like this, but a lot of being able to rant like this is because you have a history of doing the work. So you have a lot of experience. The three of us have so many experiences to pull from that are applicable in the moment.
Yes.
We're out here doing the work. Wherever it is that we doing the work, we are out here doing it. And so, you know, I think that while you were off, we were talking about how somehow it has got to involve the school system. I don't know quite yet how, but I think that, you know, we could get Alberto to come on and chat you know, about how you got to bring.
Alberta was at that girl at the girl's house, and she was in Bill Diggs charter school. She's not even in those public schools. So what the hell was he even doing there? And that's what people don't understand. Like, I like him as a superintendent, but these people are opportunistic. They don't care about our people. And the thing is,
but no, here's the thing.
Wait.
Right. Why was he there?
the camera.
No, let me say, I'm going to say this disclaimer. I'm going to say this. He's always there for my family, and there's not a camera involved. He's always been there. He even helped to bury my nephew. Okay. So he's always there. I don't think it's because of the camera. He's just a genuine person. Yeah. And if you see him all throughout this pandemic, he's been feeding people like out of his own pocket, his own personal money. So I don't think it's
person, but remember, I'm telling you this. He is going to be either the governor, he is going to be a senator, or he's going to be the next mayor of Miami-Dade County. So I don't think that people, if you're not John Brown, right, you don't give a fuck about our people. John Brown is the only white man in history that I can say truly. I mean, there were other John Browns, but John Brown was one of the few white men that said, and if the white people died on that bus for the when we're doing the Freedom Riders, those white people cared about our people. When you have people who can do things for people and it doesn't take a sacrifice, and I'm not minimizing his impact, and I think he's an incredible guy, but if he truly cared about black people, he would have reformed that fucking system. If he truly cared about black people, he would look at the fact that black women teachers are fucking disrespected at a level, and black administrators are disrespected at a level in the school system that is a massive problem. And so when I look at the fact that our schools are under-resourced, understaffed, but you out there building with the bond money that you said was going to go to the least of us, and you're spending millions of dollars building a brand new mass academy on the campus of FIU Biscayne Bay campus, but then I turn around and Northwestern looks like a bomb shelter from the 1950s. And then I look at the fact that Dash, Mass Academy, New World, all of these schools that are producing the best and the brightest of the nation collectively make up less than 5% of their population are black children. When I look at the fact that you now in your curriculum and the way that you, I mean, I can just keep on.
I was going to say, before you go on that tirade, I would offer you listen. I would offer you to watch United Shades of America with Kamau Bell, this week's episode, because he addresses all of that and is applicable to Carvalho. Carvalho, and listen, it's same thing with you, Star Race. We have to give everybody the same grace we expect. He is the superintendent. The fact that he has people in the community that say, you know, despite it all, yes, he does show up in those spaces. And I do believe that it's not for the cameras. I can tell you, I believe that it is not for the cameras, because Carvalho has really, when he decided to stay here and not go to New York for whatever his complete and total issues were, that cemented him saying what South Florida means to him. When he, the first time I interviewed him and he told me how he used to sleep on the park bench that he can now see from his office. Yes. That told me a whole other story.
Oh, no, he's a good man.
That's what I'm saying. So you don't lose those elements of yourself. You may not be able to put them in the plate in every situation, but you don't lose that. Just as we've been talking about. You don't. So you have to see where it's going to show up again. Yeah, and people start to put the kind of shit we talking about on his table.
True. You're right.
And I believe that we all are responsible for doing something. Mm-hmm. Now, we all do something instead of nothing. That's better than not doing anything at all. Yeah. We all have to chip in and do something. And that's what our heart should be. Like, we all have to do something. Of course, everyone can do better. We all can do better. We all can agree on that. But we all should be doing something to save the lives of our people.
I'm going to end it with that, Joe, with Anthony Malcolm. I drove from West Palm Beach to Alana's Walk, from Pompano to King Carter's Candle Memorial, Master Johnson's Gathering in Overtown, Jada's by Central High School and countless other tragic moments within our community. The Montgomery bus boycotts changed the mindset on how big of a sacrifice you have to make in order to see tangible changes. People walking 16 plus miles to the 16 miles from work in the rain, sleet, and snow, the massive code of unified conduct in order to send a powerful statement.
Amen.
That's true.
That's a perfect place to end it.
That's it.
All right,
Well,
ladies.
remember, Alana Walk is Thursday if you all can attend. I know you're out of town, sorry, or somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you all can attend Thursday at 6 p.m. on 54th Street and 27th Avenue.
Can you send us a flyer so we can put it up tomorrow?
Okay. How I sent this to Star X. Just forward it to Jill Tracy.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have